Hello, Leonardo. How are you? As I told you over the phone, I have some doubts about the process of buying a property here in Mexico, and I would like to know if you could solve me these questions.
Oh, yeah, you were Don Pepe?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, as I told you, first you need to find a piece of undeveloped property that needs to be bought by there has to be a seller who's actually in accord that has to accept this selling. You need to make sure you have to have a acceptance of a according price where the both of you agree in such a price. Um, First of all, you can have an attorney that's actually a specialist in real estate to check for a decent price that's good for you and for the seller.
Also, the attorney can give me some advice about the price of the property.
Yeah, he can check for the place where the property is situated. He can look for if there's any malls or anything of importance near of it, and that's what actually makes part of the total price of the property. Then, after that, you have made a proper price. You need to make sure that to give a 10% of the total price that you were in accordance in order to provide a safety margin for the seller so that he actually knows that you're interested in buying this property.
Oh, so that will serve like a deposit.
Yeah, it's an actual deposit. Yeah. And well, you have to have something that's called a cancellation penalties, which are these penalties that are going to occur only when one of the two of them cancel this buy-sell agreement, and it's going to result in compensation to the other party.
So the seller will be actually liable if he doesn't follow this contract.
Yeah. So if one of the two of you cancel it, the other one will gain a certain amount of money. Well, where exactly are you planning on buying this place?
Mm, I'm actually thinking about buying here in Guadalajara on
Um,
Andares.
Andares. Well, that's actually a pretty good idea because if you were to buy it in a piece of land that was near the sea, you would be in a restricted zone where it would be actually harder for you to buy this land as you would have to be involved with the bank, or in the case that you were going to buy it in the outskirts of the city, you would have problems with ejido lands where you would have to have an acceptance with all the people that were inside these communal territories in order to buy it, in order for it to be a private property.
Oh, so it's good that I'm looking forward to buy here in the city.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good thing. Next, you need to make sure that your attorney uh, checks if the seller is actually legally liable to sell this piece of land if he's the actual owner of the property. So he has to go to the right authorities in order to check for the documentation that he's the owner.
Yeah, it will be very bad if he sells to me and he doesn't have the property.
Well, yeah. And afterwards, they need to give you the property deeds, a copy of the property deeds, where it's going to be stated what's included in this property and the deficiencies of this property. Um, if there's some deficiencies that were not stated, you can actually tell the seller, and you need to make sure that all these deficiencies are stated in this document, and you have to go to a notary to make sure that there's no problems there.
Also, I have some legal actions if the property is not like the seller described it.
Yeah, the notary is actually legally liable for any deficiencies in the document.
All right.
And afterwards, after you make sure that there's nothing wrong in this document, you need to make sure that your attorney goes to these competent authorities in order to give all your legal documentation, meaning your passport, your visa, if you're married. All these documents are important. It needs to be legally documented into these authorities.
Okay, so my documents will enter in the record of the house, of the property?
Yeah, it's going to go into a record. So if in any future cases you need to prove that you're the actual owner, or if you want to sell it for the people that are going to buy it, to make sure that you're the owner.
That's good.
Well, yeah, it's an actual it's necessary for you to do it. And then the seller needs to give you the original papers that make sure that you're not actually legally liable for any deaths of him, and that's called the original land service fees.
Okay.
So if there are any deaths in this property, you need to make sure that the seller gives the right amount of money before you buy it.
Well, that's very good. So I'm protected of any previous debt of the previous owner.
Yeah, and if there are debts that they cannot pay and you want to buy this property, well, you can have an agreement with the person.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And afterwards, you need to make sure that the seller pays these taxes that are called the capital gains tax. So that's the tax that's going to be given to the state for any selling of a property.
Okay, but that's the seller responsibility.
Yeah,
right?
that's the seller responsibility unless it's actually stated in your agreement. And finally, you have to go to a notary where you will pay the full price of the property, and in exchange, the seller will give you the documents with a signature, meaning that it's your property now.
That's good. This has been very helpful, attorney.
Well, you're welcome.
I'm looking forward to the sale. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.